let's head over and start digging.
I used to rock climb a lot. I did it all the time. Did it in high school, did it when we first got married, and did it for several years. I was on this quest to conquer every rock climbing route in Wolverine Canyon, and the quest was to lead every climb and without slipping or falling or resting on the rope or anything like that. And there's hundreds of bolted routes in there, and I about had them all down under my belt. And there was about 15 of us and about 8 or 9 adults and some kids. And then I said, all right, well, I'm just going to hook up a top rope right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and rappel down off this side of the cliff. So when I did that, it's something I've done thousands of times before. And I went ahead and chained up into the rope, and I was hanging on my webbing there over the edge there. And anyway, nonetheless, a mistake was made. And when I went to lay on the rope, it wasn't there. So I just dropped a perfect plumb drop down off that canyon. My father went back and measured it to see how far the drop was, and it was a 70-foot drop, which in the United States has a near 100% mortality from what I understand. We figured I had about 1.8 seconds to think it through as I was falling. And so it's funny, there's things that you think about, and it feels like in that moment I had all the time in the world to think. The few thoughts that I had was that I can remember is that I needed to stiffen up my body and tighten up my legs, bend my knees a little bit. Had this dream a week before that I was falling, and then I woke up and I was in a panic. I don't remember this, but my wife told me about it. And she told me that when I woke up, I was in a panic because I'd fell off a cliff. Anyway, so I was explaining to her what I was doing after I woke up from my dream, that I was going to bend my knees so that I didn't put my femur bone up into my back. I came to, and it was, I knew something was wrong. I couldn't quite process what was going on. I couldn't think through if this was a dream or if this was real, or if I didn't know what was happening. I just knew something was seriously wrong. About an hour later, the paramedics showed up there, and I was still in the same position. And they got me straightened back onto a board there and got me kind of off this little ledge there. And that was the first jolt of pain. I remember yelping like a wounded dog. I knew that a professional was going to be there with the paramedics, and then that person was going to have some morphine. And I knew the morphine was going to make this go away a little bit. So I was looking around, kind of in this panic, looking for someone with the drugs. And he went to open up the box of his pain meds there, and he opened it up, and it dumped all over the side of the canyon there. And it was pretty crazy. I wasn't doing very good. My body was shutting down there pretty fast. I was bleeding internally pretty crazy. It was obvious that there was a lot of things wrong, but we didn't really know. And so we stayed. We had a 2-month stay there at the hospital. And it was definitely a very unpleasant experience. Lots of pain, lots of surgeries. Several surgeries on my pelvis, a couple surgeries on my lower spine that I broke, shattered the pelvis, shattered my hips, legs, feet, broke my right arm, tore shoulders, did all kinds of things. And so every Wednesday seemed like was surgery day. They'd go in there for 3 or 4 hours and try to pin bones back together and all that. And so I wasn't doing very good. I was on a straight edge, or kind of glued to the bed, because I couldn't really move much because my pelvis and my back hadn't really attached in real good yet. We finally, after a couple months, finally went home, and I spent the next 4 or 5 months in the bed before I could get up and start walking. I was kind of walking around a little bit with a walker and all that, and my left ankle kind of blew out on me. And then they went in there and did a surgery on there and fused a bunch of bones together in there. Needless to say, that's how it went for the next 2 or 3 years after that. I was still working full time, trying to do what I could. It was pretty rough, feet hurt, ankles hurt, and all that. And during all that time, I just couldn't help but think, is a prosthetic leg better than what I got now? And after about 2 or 3 years, I finally kind of mustered up the courage and thought, I'm just going to cut off a leg. And so I decided on the left foot to cut that one off, and about 2 days before the amputation, I chickened out, and we decided to run to Tijuana to do some stem cell injections, maybe to try to get cartilage to grow back in. That went for another year or two, and finally I just decided, my ankles aren't getting better. My feet are not going to get better. They're only going to get worse. The things that I wrote in my notebook was which leg I should take off, or if I should take off both legs. You know, before I cut it off, you know, I had the time to make that decision. You know, I know some people, some friends that didn't have the time to make the decision. They just had an accident and woke up the next day with their leg gone. And so I have the time to evaluate it. And so in my notebook, I had my left foot, and I had all the reasons I should take it off, and then reasons I shouldn't take it off. Then on the other page, I had all the right foot and all the reasons I should take it off. And finally decided to take off the left foot.